Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Monte and Wolf Show. It's your boy dGon alongside Wolf after week 6 of the LCK. And memorable because it was our first Spirit Blossom patch here, Wolf, but also memorable because one of the last teams across all of professional League of Legends got their series win, the monkey off the back. The DN Automotive Freaks are winless no more. They upset fourth place Nongshim to get their first win, and they did it in a classic 3-0 style, which means they basically won game one, but then didn't and found a new painstaking way to lose a game.
When people do the thing where they say like, which I also do, which is really fun, where you say like, oh, they won the series 3-0 because they won the first game, but then they lost for some reason. They went 2 and 3. It's usually oftentimes like something like they had like a 10,000 gold lead, or like, they ran the early game, but they made like 2 big mistakes that they shouldn't have made, or like sometimes it's like a really good team like Genji or something where they won, but then they fucked around and then like they lost. And in this case, I was the one this is one time where I would not say 3-0 because the decision making in that first game from DNF was so abysmal and so bad, and it was only because the game was still relatively close that they like threw everything away. But like they had won the game by like making the good team fight, but then doing the wrong thing after the team fight and not like following through. Which was super disastrous, and like that was a cool play with the Weaver's Wall to like deny the minions entry and stuff, but they could have just played it safe. Like when the margins are that thin, don't just make the crazy Hail Mary play, which they did twice on the Baron and then on the end. That was not that. Was the game where I was like, they're 100% not going to win today. It's not happening today. But I was wrong. Well, after the end of that game, I was fuming. I was not happy.
I think everyone was. That's when I put out my tweet like, North American fans looking at Berserker Band to help my boy. Because they won a decisive fight at the bottom side of the map near Drake to get Soul, I think it was, or like before Elder. And then they chased Lehen's Leona, who smartly ran away and just bought, I think, like 15 or 20 seconds of time down bot lane. And the only person that was hitting the wave was Berserker, and there was only one caster minion that was left alive. And then he has to tank the tower to kill the tower. He does that a couple times instead of having all 4 members pushing or all 4 members going to go hit Elder and then finishing the game with Elder. It was just another classic DNF. Who's making the macro shot call? Like no one, we don't know.
It looked like it was Berserker who was making the call, but I don't know. Like, because he's the first one to walk up, like he went instantly, right? So either he listened to the call instantly or he went up, because it seemed like he was the first guy to be like, all right, I'm taking this turret, we're doing this. What I was watching with some friends in Discord, and I was chatting with my Discord about it, so I was super plugged into this first game, and I was telling everyone, because Kingen had teleport right before this fight broke out, and I was like, this is going to be another one of these games where DNF is doing an objective when their Nexus fucking explodes. Like, this happened so many times where they're like, oh shit, Elder's up, and then they like kind of slowly go to Elder or Baron or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it was like a soul, a dragon. And they're like doing it, the base goes up, and then the other team just shows up with like, I don't know, 2 people and delays their backs like 3 times, and then the game ends. I was like, Kingan's on Gwen, he's got teleport, and there was a super minion wave that was like it was not pushed up very far, but like it was there in the top lane, and I was like, oh no, it's gonna be another one of these games. And then Nongshim, for some unknown reason, just like doesn't have everybody set up, and Lehens is pushing deep into the brush, and then they triple down on trying to save the play because Elder's up, and then like Nongshim just drop like ball after ball after ball, like Kingen teleports in instead of split pushing. It's just like they just completely lemming their way into it, and I was just sitting there going like, well, I guess maybe another team would have used the Gwen to try to threaten the end of the game, but maybe not Nongshim. And then like I was like, wow, that was really embarrassing, Nongshim. And then I had no idea like what DNF was gonna do next. Oh man,
that was no idea it was in store.
But I do think that I was just saying overall in the series they looked like a better team. Like they did look like they had solved some of their issues. There were a lot of jokes about Pioshik saying like, because he's done so many interviews like that they decided to stop talking to each other and like play like it's solo queue, and that helped a little bit. But when I watched the comms, it was not like that. They were yelling a lot, and it was like really hard to understand what's going on.
Right, and that's like that's seems to be the prevailing sentiment where it kind of doesn't matter who's calling right now. There isn't a lot of understanding. There's a lot of communicating. There's a lot of talking and calling, but not a lot of communicating back and forth and understanding and whatnot. DNF have changed their stage coaches, right? It's something that we covered on this we noticed on the space. It was like, hey, that's a different set of guys out there for DNF. They've changed their roster, they've changed their shot calling, and in the end, they get it done. I mean, game 2, they came back and just punked them. They were like, nah, Nongshim, yes, you won that game, but we're just going to show that we're better than you and explode through the lane. And then game 3 was one of those where it was slow, but it was tense. And I just loved it. I loved how tense it was because we knew the stakes. Nongshim, they're going to be 4th. They're fine. We know where their highs are. We learned where their lows are, but they're going to be in the Legends group. But no one wanted to be the first team who's the DN Automotive Freaks.
Yeah,
like, no one wanted that. As well as, like, I think Jiwoo is one of the most out of form AD carries right now, and they put the eggs in the Jinx Lulu basket. It's like, all right, carry us. And Jiwoo died really early in one of the first fights, and after that, it felt like the tension broke and things were okay. And the Freaks were up like 6,000 gold. They had the bounty on the turrets, and then they slowly push on in and close it on out. But like, it's both the DN Automotive Freaks, like we had some learnings, and now kind of trying to figure out where the bottom of the hole is of this, cup. I was going to say cup of noodles, Nongshim noodle packet. Where's the bottom?
Yeah, I just to make another reference, I was watching with a bunch of people in Discord, right? I put like Gio is not playing the game or something like that, like the first time he died in game 2, and then I just kept forwarding that message back into the channel throughout the day.
Yeah,
because I was like, he's not playing the game. And sometimes that's his fault. In fact, a lot of the time it was his fault, and sometimes it was just like, well, he's too far behind, and he's playing Jinx and trying to get a reset, and he can't hurt that Scion. He can't hurt that Scion. He wants to hurt that Scion, but he can't hurt that Scion. And that's the only champion he's in range of. And he died. And got his 3rd item super late. And it was just, he was not playing the game. Berserker, on the other hand, was playing the game. He was playing the game well. He didn't die, which became the new like curse trend meme, whatever. Like, if Berserker dies, they lose 100%. If he doesn't die, they win 100%. Like, kind of thing. He did not die in either of their wins. And he played really well, and I think the rest of the team started to actually do the things that you're supposed to do, like, and actually move around the map as a unit and make good calls so Berserker could play the game, so that was good. And I think DNF are still by far solidly our 10th place team, but I think that there's like some upward movement that can happen because they proved that between even game 1 of this series and games 2 and 3, they can have a conversation and figure out like what's going wrong, what needs to change. And the comms need to, the thing with the comms for me is like, this is difficult to coach, especially when players don't seem to have confidence. The thing I noticed in their comms is in a fight or like in a mid like setup, like say like they're trying to set up for Baron, and some of these comms you can hear from them, they say things like, oh, I might have to cleanse. Like, he's on me. I'm backing off. I'm walking up. I'm backing off, and stuff like that. And the thing is, you have like 5 people saying that. If you watch like Genji's comms, for example, Ruler will never say like the enemy AD carry is threatening me, or like I might need to cleanse when like somebody's on them, because he's like, well, I'm an AD carry, and so everything that was just said by Berserker potentially in that moment, or like what anyone is saying, it's like, I know my role. I know I need to push for vision. And like my team can all physically see me on the screen and on the minimap, like what I'm doing. So like I don't need to share that. Someone needs to be saying like, fight, turn, burn, these types of comms, like the decision, and then everyone does their job. But I find like we're seeing Bulldog like, I'm flanking or something like that, and it's like, well, yeah, everybody knows that, but like 5 people are sharing all of this information all at once, instead of just like somebody saying, hey, we're going to force a fight on this Baron, like engage on them and then say which champion first and go, go, go. Like it's just a lot of like oversharing basically that's happening when I listen to the comms.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that that's where it needs to start. It's very difficult to coach this because if you have bad habits of oversharing, or you were on a team previously that really wanted you to constantly share this kinds of information, or what you're doing and what your intentions are all the time, then you might just kind of build a habit of constantly telling everyone that like your flash is up in 15 seconds when like it doesn't matter, like you, unless you like are under threat, just stuff like that. Like all of those examples I used of things they said are things I just pulled out of my ass, by the way. I don't, no one said any of those specific things I said, but like that's what it felt like those types of information were being shared when I was listening to their comms. So don't like say like I watched back and he never said no. That I'm just saying like it's those types of information they're oversharing.
Yeah.
With the limited looks that we get, because we like sometimes DNF upload some of their comms on content, and also like LCK during a win shows the players' comms at the end, like in the final moment. So like those are the only ones I really get to look at.
Yeah. And given the fact that both Pioshik and a Berserker were in NA and having spent years around NA calls, especially Cloud9 because they share their comms. Blabber does do that. There was a lot of like, I'm inting, just those kind of calls. Like, it creates the environment that makes Cloud9 very light and very fun. And then they're, when they lock in, they need to lock in. But I can see how if those are your two main shot callers, for whatever reason, life doesn't want to do it, or doesn't do it, then that can be over the top for this team, and going to be a struggle to try and solve and figure out. But hey, man, congrats to the Freaks for getting their first win. That is such a huge relief. As I love saying this now, as one of the losingest managers in LCS history over at Golden Guardians, those wins, I felt like I could accomplish anything in life. Those losses were desolate. They were suffering. It was depression. It was just like, it's all about winning and losing in that moment when you're in a rut, and it leads to usually more losing. But once you get those wins, it's euphoric. There just aren't many analogies to describe it. It's just so it feels so good, and have that at the end of the week so you can go into the whole rest of the week being like, thank goodness we won. Because if you win on like the game one and then you lose game two, you're like, okay, well, at least we won. Nah, they felt that they're gonna feel great. So are their fans, who have been so supportive, and all those fan signs like, I'm gonna be here until they win, I'm gonna hold my breath until they win, believe. Like, I got a sign, actually I'm gonna go grab it because it was super cute, and I like promoting things, positive things, fandom.
More on that later.
More on that later. A fan made this.
That's cool.
And it's
That's
like,
very cool.
yeah, like it's super cool. Like
I don't know what happened to the DNF logo on Berserker's jersey, but otherwise I think it's very cool.
Yeah, it disappeared, but it's really cool. And they were
No,
giving these out.
put it up again. Put it up again. Like put it closer to your camera, so it's like more
Okay.
in frame. There you go. See that? Now you can see it. It's like really quite detailed.
Yeah,
I'm
you very
impressed.
clearly see it's them. Yeah, I know. And so like that, just the relief was great and palpable. Now fans can relax as well and get to celebrate their team for the first time.
I look at this and I don't want there to be an overarching narrative that like it's fixed, they did it, they're good now, and then they lose next week and everyone's like, what? Thought it was over. Like I want to make sure that like it's very clear that the problems are still there, although they looked a lot better. I want people to know like this is step one. Like we've like the baby took like one step and everyone's like, oh, yeah, but like it's still a baby, and like we still need to like hopefully see it like continue to grow and mature, and maybe it'll take like two steps in a row after this, and maybe they'll get a 2-0 in a series, or maybe we'll start to see like some of the calls, because even in those wins like it was a little bit shaky, but I like the front to back team comp. That seems to be good. Play the Scion, front to back, do that kind of stuff. Because I think we're a long way away from the not Mad Movie, but like the comms replays we have, like where it's T1 Gen G, and like everyone is in the base, and T1 is like, and Faker says, I think we can fight this, when they have no vision on Baron. They have no vision on Baron. They have no idea. Like, they know, like, the enemy team is on it, and they're like, I think we can fight this. And that's, like, all that needs to be said. I think we're, like, a long way away from that. But, like, if they can step by step figure this out, like, maybe the Rise group, they could start to be a contender there. So, I'm super happy for them, like you said. I think this is going to be a huge weight off their shoulders, and maybe we'll see them play less nervous, because it feels very nervous, a lot of the decisions they're making. And then, like, they're like, oh, remember last time when we didn't make the right choice, or we made it too slowly? We better make this decision now, which is, I think, what happened in game one when they tried to push to end. Like, it's like, maybe they had, like, flashbacks of all the other half decisions they made that caused them to lose, and then they're like, we're all in on this decision, and they're like, oh, God. Like, but now at least you've started to win, and you started to make the right choices, and, like, maybe you can think a little bit more measured, but still quickly on the next big decision like that comes up. So, happy for them, especially Berserker, because the guy has been playing very well, and I think everybody knows it. But he just hasn't been able to pick up that W until now. So really happy for him.
I wonder. I do wonder, like, how they fix that. Like, what is Rapid Star going to do? Do you sit them down and have them talk to each other only? Like, what is the fix for comms issues?
You know what
of
would
this
I would
nature?
do if I'm not a coach, right? And I never really have been, but if I wanted to solve this problem, I'd almost want to say, like, to get a transcript, like have someone of the coaching staff write a transcript of everything that's being said in like a 30-second period, and be like, how much of this do we need? And like, then start there, like, how much of this do we need?
That's
And
pretty
then
good. Way to go,
start cutting it out.
Coach Wolf.
Because if you can visually see it on text, like when you hear, or if you have it open, you like can't even hear anything. You have to like turn your brain to listen to one part of it, then like turn your brain to listen to one part of it. You'd have to like back up on the VOD to like see, because there's so much. But if you had it all written on text, and you were like, which one of these is actually valuable, and then start deleting those and be like, let's try not to say this. Let's try to listen to Pioshik, or listen to Life if he's stepping up, or Berserker in this moment seems like he knows how to call these fights, so listen to Berserker, listen to what he's saying. I think there has to be a trust that every person in their role is doing the right thing. All 5 people have to believe that of their other 4 counterparts, and each individual person has to think they're doing the right thing, and then you have to listen to the call. But if somebody's like, I'm flanking, I'm not sure, like, I'm trying to find this angle, it's like, well, if I'm an 80 carry, I'm like, it's good to know that my top laner is flanking, but I should visually be able to know that and see that by looking at the mini map and seeing where he's positioned. And like, if I'm the 80 carry, like, I probably just want to be saying nothing and being like, I'm getting into position, I'm trying not to get caught. I've got my mouse hovered towards where I need to flash. If somebody jumps out of a bush on me and I'm instantly flash, like, I need to be thinking about that and not trying to tell, like, our mid laner to back off or whatever, or saying like, oh, my cleanse is up in 10 or whatever. You just have to be aware of that with how you're moving, and then use that information to judge how you want to fight and stuff like that. So I think they can figure it out, but it's one of those things really hard to teach, and it will take a long time. But it seems like it's getting marginally better, and Pioshik, made comments about it and stuff like that. That they're very aware of it. They're trying to do different stuff, and eventually, I think they'll find something that sticks for them. I hope.
Yeah, pretty great for them going, given the fact that they were almost perfect gamed this week. I think it was against KT, and now find a way to bounce back and feel better. All right, that's enough feel good for the DN automotive freaks. Time to address the elephant in the room, which is live shows. Let's start there. Live shows. When you do a live show, and we have pre-shows here, anywhere, you have rehearsal, and then you go through rehearsal a certain way, and then generally you have a general idea of what's happening. And then when things go a little bit off script, which is fine, but they go off script, especially when you think it's rehearsed, you roll with the punches. So that is what happened during this pre-show, Dplus versus T1, as we're going to dive into both these squads. and I and Wolf all had our like ideas on where we wanted to invest time in the pre-show, and actually where we invested most of the time and where we wanted to invest most of the time was the how do we fix D plus Kia segment. It was the lower third. It's like, all right, let's make some substitutions. You can't because D plus have like bad challengers players now. What about your stars? Like, lean on them. Well, ShowMaker's not playing really well. They're low on confidence. Well, what about the shot calling? It seems like they just need to make some plays. Well, right now, your shot callers, ShowMaker, and Barrel are like low on confidence, and you just need to get a win. But it's hard to get a win when you have all of these problems, right? We spent a lot of time on that. And then we're like, okay, and here's a graphic of Guma and aiming. And then we talked about Guma the whole time. We didn't talk about aiming that much. And then I thought I heard him did say Guma was the best AD carry in the league, and best of threes. And even if it was just best of threes, that doesn't matter. And that's why I made that face. I was like, that's crazy. That is an outrageous statement right now. We're not talking about the history of what he's done. We're talking about right now. Right now, it's clearly Viper. It's then,
Yeah, I mean,
a mixture of Ruler, Diablo, and Guma, I'd say.
if he did say that, if it had been what he said, that Guma was the best AD carry right now, I do think that would not be an accurate statement. I think that, like, in this moment, what I wanted to do with the graphic, and like I've been kind of pushing for this kind of discussion about Guma for a while, with a lot of pushback. A lot of people aren't comfortable talking about it, right? But I wanted this to be a discussion point about how, despite Guma's champion pool, he still won multiple world championships, and now he's found in Fearless the champs that work for him. And like, the cool thing about Fearless is that it actually has reduced the amount of champions that you have to play in a meta like this, because it's just like, oh, tier list, and now we're gonna build a comp around Jhin. Okay, we did it. We're gonna try to build this comp around Lucian a little bit. It actually works out really well for Guma, and because some of the counters to these picks like are already played in other games because they're strong in general there, and then like now you can just play Jhin freely, and you can have a strong front line, and you can set up for that. I feel like we had the stat that like Azir Jhin is really good for like Faker and Guma specifically, but like that's a tough combo to pull off, but they're very good at it. And just seeing that kind of stuff, I wanted that segment to be about like aiming has a bigger, wider hyper carry scaling pool, but also like Guma has his niche right now, and in best of threes, it won't necessarily matter that he doesn't have the bigger champion pool. It's mattered a few times, but I think T1 have finally kind of figured out how to cater towards him. And people will still like point fingers, but he can only like play Jhin. I don't know if is he really even a true AD carry if he can only like play Jhin, and he's like only has a perfect win rate on Jhin. I'm like, well, he plays Jhin really well, and they keep winning. Like, they are on a 4-game win streak now. And last week I was like, yeah, I think they're going to 2-0 the week pretty easily, especially with Dplus's form. At this point, I feel like T1 is our third place team solidly. Like, especially after Noship took that loss to DNF. Like, I think they're like top 3. Anyway, there were a lot of people on Twitter, or X, as people keep telling me I shouldn't call it Twitter anymore, who tweeted at us, and someone tweeted at me saying, like, I don't know what I said, and I didn't even go back to watch the VOD, but they claimed that I said Guma has never played Zeri. And I may have said that, but I meant like in the sense of he's never been a player who trends towards playing Zeri. But they went off on me and posted like his Zeri games, which some of them there were like 3, and like some of them they posted were from like 2 years ago, and I'm like, well, I really don't want to respond to you because I don't generally respond to people, and I didn't respond to this person, but
good for you.
They basically just highlighted my point, and then like people were coming after me a little bit, and I just kind of muted them. Even though I don't even know I don't even know what I did to deserve this. You didn't do anything to deserve this either, dGon, but they came at you because you made a face, and they out of context attacked you, and I'm sorry that happened.
No, it's fine. It's just more of the point I wanted to get across from the content was like what we see with Morgan. We got to see it very clearly with Morgan against Hanwha Life Esports, where Hanwha Life were like, hey, Morgan doesn't play Jace. We're going to pick early pick Nidalee. And we know he's going to pick York. We know he's going to pick York. So now we can get everything else, right? It was the Sejuani Yone, I think, that they picked. And then they waited. Bro waited on top lane pick for phase 2. And then he just picks the York anyways. They let him play the York. It's showing that there is a strategy and pathway towards champ pool size, which was something that T1 experimented with earlier in the year with Smash, right? And so that was what I wanted to get across. And I didn't quite understand, like, even now, like, I didn't quite understand the best of 3 point. So I, like friends do, colleagues do, went talk with Wadid. Wadid and I just talked about it afterwards. And it ends up being like, okay, cool. Wadid values that more in fearless best of 3s, but is worried about it in fearless best of 5s. Whereas I don't value it as highly, because if we didn't have fearless, he could just play the same champ. So it would be even easier than what it is now. But now it's like a little bit harder, the fact that he can't play some of these champs. I think it is an avenue to ban out some of these, just the AD carry pool. You can do that. You can go 3 bans, pick first, and now you're on the 5th one and force him on something else.
I think that this hasn't really been fully explored. I do think there's an angle. You leave a lot open if you do that, but like you could try to draft around that. There's definitely a viable strategy to try to target Guma. We're seeing some of the champion pool issues, I think, for some players like Morgan. You mentioned Morgan, I think, is the biggest glaring one across the league right now. We have a few supports as well that I'm not going to mention, because like support champion pool is like, the champion pool itself is just like, there's a few champs you can play in this meta, and then life play set, and like carry play bards sometimes, but otherwise it's like tiny, so it doesn't necessarily matter. But anyway, in top lane and in an AD carry position, it can matter a lot now that lane swaps are gone, and you're not just an AD carry who's hitting a tank, or hitting a top laner who's just trying to survive under turret, and you're killing plates and you're interacting with a turret that can't fight back when you have a wave. Like, that was playing AD carry for a really long time in the early game, and now also you have top laners who are not playing this mini game of like, I'm gonna call my support up here, we're gonna hang out under turret, and like I'm gonna be back, and I'm gonna be safe, and I'm gonna dodge dives, and then I'm gonna get as much XP as I can. Now you have to interact with someone directly in a 1v1 matchup, and they're trying to fucking kill you, and you're trying to get CS, and like, I think the pool problems that some players have are becoming far more pronounced right now. And I just think that T1 have done such a good job, though, of playing around Guma's pool while also playing around Faker's pool, because Faker's pool isn't that big right now either. And yet they still keep coming out with these excellent drafts, and then they play them so beautifully because their team fights are so good. They're our third best team fighting team. Maybe at best they're better than Hanwha, because Hanwha has been so weird recently. They could at their best, I think, on some days look better than Hanwha. I wouldn't say they are better than Hanwha right now, but like T1 are a real contender. Like, it happened way faster, I think, than we all thought, but they're a real contender to potentially even like upset and take the season. I'm not saying it's happening, but they're a dark horse now. I really feel that.
I feel like you left me behind, man. I'm in there's a top 2, a Gulf, and then another team, which used to be Nongshim, and now it's T1, and now a Gulf, and then Nongshim, and then a tier, and then who knows is after that. Maybe it's Dplus, maybe it's BK Fear-X. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's KT, because KT got a couple of wins, but those Gulfs are really big. They're really big. What we learned this week is, yes, Hanwha still continues to play down to their level of their opponent, to play with their food, and Gen G will just destroy you. However, T1 4-game winning streak, they did have a slightly easier strength of schedule over that period since getting bodied by the bros. Facetious, y'all. I'm just kidding. But they did lose to the bros. That was the last loss that T1 had. Their teams that they have win streaked against, the DN Automotive Freaks, KT, DRX, and now Dplus, who look broken, and is where I want to go next, because ShowMaker looks like a shell of himself. ShowMaker is starting to scare me now as like, is this it? Because maybe it's just this meta, because it's the old boys over at Dplus that are not doing their work. I went back and watched the T1 Dplus matches, and my goodness, aiming is playing 1v2 because Beryl is just missing skill shots, missing ults, just missing everything and then dying. And it, I think the Dplus are starting to have the DRX issue of like, okay, the young guns, the youngins, whether or not they're ready to do it or, worthy of doing the shot calling or playmaking, whatnot, are going to be hindered by the youngs, the guys that have accomplished a ton, but are in poor form right now. That doesn't mean they won't get it back, but are in poor form right now, aren't playing well. And now you're starting to see it happen to Lucid being tilted and like tilt engaging into things, and Shiwu as well. And then aiming is just, I'm doing the most that I can in the situations I'm put in. Okay, I got to kill. Okay, I'm dead. And they're all still alive. Like, that's what this team feels like to me right now, Wolf.
I think we have had a ton of veterans, like in the LCK, players who have been around for a really long time. Like, you can put the entire T1 roster in that category. Like, you can put I think at this point, the entire HLEsports team in that category right now. And you look at Dplus, and they're quite unique as a top team. Again, I think they have the potential to be, and they were for most of this year so far. It's just been a bit of a slide recently. And it's like mixed, right? Where you have very, very new players, Lucid and Shiu, and then you have veterans. And aiming is a veteran as well, right? So even though he's not the shot caller and he's not the one who's having problems, a lot of the time when your teams are comprised of fully veterans, you can skip some of the learning issues, like the learning curve of how a roster is going to operate as a 5-man unit.
Yeah.
And so Dplus, I think, has they still have to figure out how they're going to play through topside, how that's all going to work. Like, Lucid still makes some decisions that are a little bit iffy. But I think in the past, ShowMaker was like, play risky, play greedy, and he had a team of gods around him. Like, if you look back to like the winning roster in 2021, where they were winning like everything except like the game 5 of the international tournaments, and like 2020, obviously, it was a team of insanely talented people around. Like, he has Khan as his top laner, who's insanely experienced, right? He has Canyon as his jungler, and you look at that and you're like, okay, well, ShowMaker can kind of buy Magi's all the time and have the pop-off games all the time in this roster, because he's one of the best Lucian players in the Lucian mid-meta. Like, ShowMaker had all the right tools for so long to be so dominant, and they would also have like the for funsies games where he'd show off his champion pool, and sometimes it would work, and sometimes we'd be like, please don't pick this here. Like, this is not the angle for Kassadin, ShowMaker. What are you doing? But like that's kind of always been who he is. But now, like, he has a team that's not necessarily as experienced and as robust, and you have to play a little bit more measured in that type of environment. And Beryl, I think, needs to play a little bit more measured in that type of environment in some cases, and they aren't. And it's like ShowMaker's still playing like it's 2021 in some of these games where he's just fast and loose and doesn't care. And he's like, well, Canyon's got my back. Right, Canyon? Lucid's like, what? So I personally think that Dplus is in a position where if they can figure out how to play like a little bit slower and play a little bit more carefully, they won't throw a lot of the games away against weaker teams that they have been doing recently. And ShowMaker is also a player who has rapid form like oscillation. Let's say, like, that may have been like a little bit of a weird way to put it, but he's super inconsistent. Great. He has been like at times during a season like a bottom 3 mid and then goes up to top 3 mid within the course of like 2 weeks. Like, this has happened before many times, and I think he can bounce back. I think Beryl is just who he is, and I don't know if he's like even necessarily. I don't know if like saying Beryl's not in form right now doesn't feel fair, because how Beryl plays and like the way his brain works and mind works is like some of the decisions he's making are correct if like everyone's there and everyone's on the same page and everyone's playing like they were last week, and then they're not, and he looks like an idiot because he goes in and he's like, I thought we go on these, or whatever. But Beryl is dying a lot. The team just isn't coordinated. And I think they need to like rethink and step back and figure out what they want to do. Because Dplus had a very clear identity at the beginning of the year. We're the fearless team. We have cool drafts that we figured out faster than everyone else. We can also play standard pretty decently. And then it was like when we got to playoffs, they stopped cooking and only played standard, but then played standard worse than the other teams in playoffs, and then just got knocked out. And then we came into the season, the regular season, after LCK Cup, and it just felt like Dplus um, kind of cooked when they were bored against bad teams, and sometimes they won, sometimes they lost, and then otherwise played standard and slow against teams like T1, where they almost were able to beat T1 the first round robin around, and then recently have just kind of been super aggressive and not on the same page and not playing around where everybody is. So I think Dplus will bounce back, probably. Like it's a long year. And I hope for them they end up in the legend group, because I think if Dplus is in a rise group, man, it's like the worst possible scenario for this team, where like ShowMaker is bored every day and wants to play Cho'Gath again, and like he's like, oh yeah, like I don't have to take any of this seriously, and then that's what I'm most worried about. But if you're in the legend group, then ShowMaker plays like super hard, and they cook a little bit with drafts, but they have the right amount of cooking, and they're like super well planned. Because Dplus, we talk about how Dplus and Genji is always a close series because they always play super well against Genji. They come in super prepared
They do.
against Genji. Why can't they do that against every other team? You put this team in the Rise group, and I'm like, oh no, it's going to be a disaster. Like they're just never going to take anything seriously. Like I can't handle it.
I just thought of it. Dplus are the same but inverse result of Hanwha Life Esports. Hanwha Life Esports plays down to their opponent and loses. Dplus plays up to their opponent and wins. Sorry, Hanwha Life plays down to their opponent and wins. Dplus play up to their opponent or down to their opponent and loses. And I think that's kind of brutal right now. I like your point about Beryl. He's the coin flip guy, right? And you need that kind of like wild card on your team to engage, to kind of facilitate the unexpected plays. But I guess the coin toss has been coming up tails a little bit more, and you can maybe win with one person out of form, but you can't win with two people out of form, especially if they're the ones that are leading the team. I would say the leaders.
And the other
of the
players
team.
don't necessarily have the experience to figure out how to pick up the slack yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when like they're a jungler and a top laner. I mean, they can engage, but if you're not good at following up on the engage, or you're dead because you try to make a play happen before everybody else, like in Barrel's case or in ShowMaker's case, and she was like, I want to go in, but I don't have a mid laner, and like now I can't do anything, even though I'm playing well and I'm in great form. There's nothing I can do. Aiming's like I'm an 80 carry. It's like the fact that the support and the mid, especially in a meta where mid often needs to be the engage, and work well with the support for that type of engage. If you're not there, or you're there late, or you're there too early, or you get caught, or you just go in and miss everything, then she was like, he might just like walk away from the fight entirely, even though it's still playable, because he's like, I don't know what to do, and no one is solving it.
Where do you think, where would you rank ShowMaker right now if we did a mid-tier list? We did a mid-tier list. I'm doing it right now. Boom, we're doing mid-tier list.
I'm trying to think of like every player. Maybe it's the easiest and fastest way to do is like, let me list every player he's better than. He's better than Bulldog. He's better than Vikla.
Yes. After that, there's arguments, but I think there's still more. There's still more that you go.
He's not better than Faker. I feel like
wait, you switched to the other side.
No, I thought about it because like Faker had a rough start, but I think Faker is really looking very good right now.
Yeah, he's crazy. I would have said bad.
I would said Faker, or rather ShowMaker today is better than Faker from like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but not current Faker.
Yeah,
I think ShowMaker and Closer are pretty close, but I might even have to say like I think Closer might be better at the moment. Yeah, I think that he might be like bottom 4. Because UCal gets a bit murky as well. I think he's better than UCal at the moment. I think I could safely say he's like 5th or 6th at best. I think we could say that. And I don't want to get too much into the weeds. It's not going to be a tier list episode or anything like that. But
no.
I think the mid champion pool right now for most players in this fearless meta where you can't play like, you can only play a certain amount of champions and then they get taken away. Like it's a pretty good meta for ShowMaker too. Like his Azir's always been very good. His Ari's been very good. Victor, I think is fine. And yet like I don't know, it just doesn't feel like his charms are hitting. I don't mean like he's missing his charms. They just don't hit. You know what I mean? Like there's not like I'm not seeing the ShowMaker magic. I'm not seeing the pop off full stack
Yeah.
Maji's Ari from this guy. So I want to see this team do well, and I believed in them in LCK Cup. Remember, I was like, "Oh, guys, this is it! Like 5-0, like they're back." And then we learned that that wasn't the case, and I said I would never trust them again. And like, yeah, I'm still here, and I'm still never trusting them again. And I think this team is not a contender for the title for me right now. Obviously we're still very early on in the year, but we know who the big players are, and we know that Dplus can be a big player temporarily, but you got to be a big player forever if you're actually going to be in the conversation for like, oh, maybe this team could make a run through the bracket, maybe this team could win the whole thing. And right now, like Dplus is so far from that. Now, Hanwha Life are like literally trying to lose. It feels like sometimes, but they keep winning anyways. And like I trust them more because I see what they do when they get a lead and then throw it away for some reason with bad silencing, and then get the lead back and still win. Dplus is just not anywhere near their level, and I think T1 has proven that they're just a stronger team than them as well. Nongshim versus Dplus, who knows? But who knows?
Yeah.
Nongshim looking a little rough around the edges right now, but if you're a Dplus fan, I'm sorry. But you're used to it, so it's okay. But I'm sorry that like maybe you felt hope that I once felt earlier this year as well, but I will never feel again. So I'm clean here. I'm clean. No more Dplus injected into my body. No more trust in Dplus. No more. Oh, is it? Are they back? Wait a second. ShowMaker, could he win another else? No.
All right. Well, that was very anti of you. Not anti, just because I'm gonna try to do this more often, since everyone's like, like because I like pointing out exciting fandom, and I dislike the negativity of the trucks and that type of fandom. I tweeted it out earlier on Saturday before T1 versus Dplus, and I linked it in the Discord. We can get it in the video later. There was a fan. There's a Vietnamese fan for T1 who bought like a fruit stand and just had a bunch of fruits out there supporting Guma and made little keychains. And it was set up like in Lowell Park. I don't know how it was set up in Lowell Park, but it was in Lowell Park, spreading fandom. I just wanted to highlight that and show that because we talk about the trucks and we talk about the fringe angry teardown fandom a lot. That happens a lot. But in this moment, I thought it was great. It's super cute. There's fan art and cheering the team. Like that's what it should be about. Like I love seeing that type of stuff and being able to highlight that on my platform. Something I want to do when I have the opportunity to. And we remember it doesn't always happen. But in this case, it was something that we saw. Super cool. I had some grapes. They had apples and different stuff. And apparently this isn't the first time they've done it. They've done it a couple times. So big props to I think the fan's name was Steph. I think her name was Steph. She's a Vietnamese student who's studying her master's here in Korea, and we talked, and it was really cool. So cheers. That's the level of fandom that I'm looking for when you want positive, spreading positivity. And
you know why that's less common? Because it actually takes effort. It actually takes effort to make something happen like this. And shoutouts to Steph. Because if you want to do something like this, you actually have to do planning. You have to get a group of people together to work on it as a team, probably, which means you have to have the ability to do that, and the kind of like I don't know what the word is for this. Like you have to be inspired enough. Like you have to have it this sort of level of fandom, but also support oriented mindset that makes you want to like share your fandom with others in a positive way. And it's very challenging to get something together like this. Like it's not easy, which is why it's so cool. Like the fan sign you made earlier, that's another positive fan or showed earlier. That's another positive fan sign. It's really easy instead to go to x.com and like press control in and open a thing and type, angry messages or like start adding people and fighting them. That's not hard, by the way. That doesn't take a lot of effort. So that's why, unfortunately, we see a lot of people taking the easy way out and trying to like anger others or get attention on the internet because you don't even have to show up to people don't even have to show up to see your messages. So yeah, taking the easy way out, not what we prefer. But
building bridges, having conversations. Yeah. Well, if you want an easier path to a healthier life, well, I've got something for you. Yeah, Andrew, you like that one? Make this the best season yet with 2-minute meals from our friends over at Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. And with 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. Choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, and premium dinners with guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. Swimsuit season is coming. Just letting you know. I'm getting older. It's not getting easier. I can't make it all up in the gym, but getting it done in the kitchen is the way to go. So get started at factormeals.com/MonteWolf50 off and use code MonteWolf50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code MonteWolf50 off at factormeals.com/MonteWolf50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Thanks to our friends over at Factor. All right.
We appreciate you.
We do. And we appreciate y'all doing it and letting us know. We have an internal I was going to say Slack, I guess Discord conversation about the times where you guys let us know, you share, you take a picture with it. It helps a lot so that we can continue pumping out the content and the insight for you on things that happen behind the scenes. We'll touch on it real quick just because, you know what? My name's not on the show, Wolf, but this is my show. What are happening to my bros? They lost the BNK Fearx and then got pummeled by Hanwha Life Esports. And now they play T1 and KT. They've got to do it. They've got to do it this week if they want to make the Legends group, man. They got to prove their legends. Krako, the legend, the conqueror.
I think the issue is Morgan. I'm just going to say it. I think this team could beat anybody at their best with a good draft. They have really, really, really strong roster. And even Morgan has proficiency on the champs he's playing. And his Yorick actually looks really clean, even though but it's still Yorick. Not sure. He basically at this point is kind of made it known to everybody that he prefers to play either Yorick or Sion. And all the other meta top lanes, he does not prefer to play. He's not even playing Renekton anymore, even though it's buffed and still relatively powerful. It requires a high level of execution to win your lane and get those advantages. So I feel like every time I'm watching a bro draft, I'm like, oh, how is this going to come together? And then I'm like, oh, they can't play Sion with this. This is not a hyper carry comp or whatever. And then he just slams the Sion down. And I'm like, so now you lose top lane for sure, guaranteed. Sion doesn't win lane. We've seen some Sion later on in sides actually be relevant. That's kind of cool to watch because he gets tankier, he gets more difficult to run down, he can trade with you really well. But in the early game, you're just I'm under turret, I'm getting as many minions as I can because later I'll be relevant, right? Later I'll be relevant. But that means you have a hole in the top side, and Sion just becomes a bag of gold that could be dove if you don't put your jungler top side to defend him, and then now your jungler's top side, so the bottom lane matchup that you drafted that's not doing so well is either you have to save that and lose your Sion, or you're saving your Sion and your bottom lane is losing. So York, similar situation where you just can't team fight, so your draft is always kind of like, York he can't team fight, so I don't know what we could do. Like we were falling behind in the game, we don't have side lane pressure, and like now we can't fight either. I feel like Morgan's had some pretty good team fights on York, to be fair. Like he's not supposed to do well in team fights, but Morgan's had some big moments. Like I think he has great mastery of the champion. But I want to see him just play more normal stuff. Like, where's Morgan's Aatrox? Where is his Renekton? Where's even Gnar? Like, just play Gnar sometimes, it's okay.
I've got some stats for you. What are the big 3 top lane champions that we always talk about in this current meta here, Wolf?
Jace, Gwen. I don't know what the third one would be. There's a lot.
Rumble. Grayson.
Rumble, of course, yeah. Yeah, of course.
All right. Yeah. Jace, 0-2. KDA of less than 1. Gwen, 0-2. KDA of less than 1. See where I'm going here? Rumble, 1-3. A little better. KDA of 1.4. So that doesn't work. I appreciate, as a North American, kind of upbringing, LCS fan, LTA fan, we always wondered, should our teams that weren't as good as T1, as Damwon Gaming, as KT, should our teams, Genji fans, play standard into them, or should we do weird shit? And I always wanted us to do weird shit, and most of the time we played standard and lost. Like, we lost so, like, pathetically, right? So he's now shown that he can't play those champs. He's given it for eight games and shown that he can only win once with Rumble and has a KDA of less than 1. You know what his most played champion? So he's gone outside the box, right? His most played champion, take a guess.
This season?
No, like this regular season.
Yeah, so LCK only.
Yeah, LCK
York.
only.
I'm going to guess York.
That's a good guess. That's at 5, 2-3. Sion, 4-1, both at 5. It's Ambessa. His Ambessa is 0-6. And so, like, they have to play things that are outside, because even if you said, oh, Sion, that kind of makes sense. The Renekton, it's permaban because that's the only moderately meta one that he finds success with. But Jace, Gwen, Rumble, Sion, Ambessa, he can't win with, and then Yorick is like, whatever, they'll tank the impact of what he can do with it, and then they just don't give him Renekton. His Jax is 0-2. So at first I was like, I don't know, how dare you slander the Lord? But now, Wolf, I think you might be making a point.
I mean, I'm literally yelling at the TV. I'm the guy yelling at the TV at like back on our caster desk, just like yelling like, don't you dare lock the Sion here, like, and like he locks it because we already all know. And if we know, that means the enemy teams know, and everybody knows, and like they're leaving Jace open on red side against this team because they know he can't play it, and they're so ready to punish him if he does, because we all know he can't play it too. But like, it's sad because Morgan, I think, has been a player who's had some ups and downs in his career. Like, was really heavily criticized by a lot of people at his first international performance, obviously, on Honorable Life back in the day. And then he got his Lord moniker, right, because he was doing so well at certain times, and like has been great at Renekton. It's been very fun to watch him when he's at his best. But like, I don't know, maybe if lane swaps, like, just maybe he can't adjust back to non-lane swaps yet, like, and so he's looking a little bit muted. But he's just playing Sion and sitting behind the turret, and like, that's not the Morgan I knew. That's not the Morgan who's trying to dominate lane and look for solo kills on Renekton and had a ton of pressure and was one of the shining lights and hopes of this team across multiple rosters in the past. So I don't know what happened, but every single bro draft I look at, I'm always thinking like, what's he gonna do? Like, what's happening? Because it's not working. It's not making sense. The Ambessa, I kind of forgot about those games because I think a lot of those were earlier on in the season, but
yeah.
it was not pretty. And it's sad because Closer is having an insane year, right? Hype is obviously a very strong player who we've talked about his potential a lot. You know, we've spent a lot of time talking about how good he is and how good he could be and how good he showed he was on KT's Challengers team.
Yeah.
And there's just really good pieces here. There really is. And Krakow obviously is, you know, he did decently well in the LPL. A lot of Korean fans super high on him right now. On the global side, we're not ready to trust yet, but either way, even Hambach was like a super high potential player. It feels weird that I have to look at every bro draft and be like, ooh, I don't know if this draft is playable. But maybe Closer will carry. You know, it's always like, well, maybe Closer will pop off. Like maybe Hype will have that late game fight. And it's just sad. It's sad because I know Morgan was way better than this and had a bigger champion pool than this. I know that to be true. Like I know a lot of people are like, no, Wolfie was always bad. No, I don't think so. I actually think he was pretty solid for a time. And I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know how they're gonna figure it out, but it's okay. It's just bro. It's just bro. They're not supposed to be the best, you know? That's the whole, it ruined their whole character.
Yeah.
You know, like Dan in Street Fighter, that's like the troll character. Like, you know?
Dan Hibiki?
Yeah,
Dan
something like that. I don't know his last name, but you
Dan
know, the
Hibiki. Deep cut. I knew it.
Is it Dan Hibiki?
Yeah, dude.
Wow, I didn't know his last name was Hibiki. Anyway, he is you look him up, he's got a big thumbs up. He's the Giga Chad that the bros are, basically. He's like, and you know, if you're a bro fan, you probably play Dan in Street Fighter, you play Random in StarCraft, you're a bit of a hipster, you know. You
oh my gosh.
You don't do things the standard way, you know? So you know, if bro started being like a top 3 team, I think some bro fans would be like, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life. I think most bro fans start to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like, I'm a fan of this team, but like, should I swap? Because like, I kind of like being the underdog fan guy, and like now we're actually good, so it makes me feel weird.
I mean, there's a way. Look. If some of the T1 fans can say we are still the underdogs with 2 world champions or whatever championships, I'm sure the bro fans will find a way to motivate themselves to be the underdogs as well. Okay. Thank you for that. I wanted to break that down.
I want to talk about Viper for just a brief moment, about how this guy is like literally the only person on Hanwha who's just not actively running it down a third of the time, is actually trying so hard to win the game. And he's like, okay, you put Zeus on Nidalee for no reason again, and so now like I have to carry even more in the team fight. And he's like, okay, so you put me on. He's like, you want me to carry every fight because like Zeus and Zeka are just Peanuts not shadowing them in sides, and they're going way too deep and dying in sides. Every single late game of every single Hanwha win is like at least 2 deaths between Zeka and Zeus, where they just run super far forward and then die. I get it when you're playing Nidalee because you're kind of supposed to like run and then like hopefully get away. But he's done it on other champs as well. But then you put me on Callista, so I have to carry late game with Callista. I'm playing Callista. This is not the position I wanted to be in. But you know what? Okay, fine. I will carry. I will get the smites that Peanut is messing up on objectives with my Rens. I will actually guarantee you got the objectives on this Callista. I will team fight perfectly. I will die while taking 3/4 of everyone's health bar so you guys can clean up the fight. Viper must be so tired, man, of lifting this team up through the late game. Because like the early games are always fine for this team. They do great. We move into like 3rd dragon territory, side lane is in full effect, and then Zeka and Zeus, but especially Zeus, just goes way too deep without any vision or without any control. It just gets picked over and over and over again. Like, go back and watch some Hanwha games or watch some of Hanwha's upcoming games, because I feel like this is going to be a trend that continues. And watch how many times the enemy teams just like go, let's teleport flank him. Like, they didn't even clear the vision at all. And like, somebody will just teleport and flank and kill Zeus or Zeka. And like they'll like get a dragon out of it for free or something like that. And then Han was like, "Oh, okay, well that was weird." And then Han was out team fight in the final fight and win the game, because who out team fights? Viper. He does it. He doesn't die. He doesn't mess it up. He doesn't mess up lane. And I'm like watching this guy thinking, if it wasn't Viper on this team right now, I feel like they would not be in 2nd place. They would not. I'm watching this guy in the same way owner keeps T1 afloat. I'm watching Viper. I'm like, yeah. If he was not the best AD carry in the LCK right now, which in my opinion, by the way, not even close. Like, not even close. Anyone is not even in the same conversation. He is just like, okay, again, all right. I guess I'll get it done. I just wanted to give Viper like mad credit for some of the games he had this week, especially yesterday, where it just feels like Hanwha is trying to make it the hardest possible draft to win with and the hardest possible scenario in game state. And he's like, don't worry, I got you guys again. Yeah, here we go. He like just rolls up his sleeves. He's like, okay. And he keeps getting PLM.
Yes, as you should.
Yeah.
I got some stats to back you up. He is second across all players in average kills, behind Ruler and ahead of Smash, actually. That's interesting. He is second in KDA behind Chovy, not Ruler, at 9.3. And obviously Gen G, all 5 players, top 7. It's Viper and Cuz are KDA players. Because, well, in Viper's case, because he has to be. But the more important stat here is deaths, average deaths, least amount of deaths. He's third behind Chovy and Ruler. But more importantly, if you start scrolling, okay, he's third. So maybe there's a Hanwha Life esports player since they're in second place. In the top 5, no, it's Aiming Canyon. Okay, maybe in the top 10, no, it's Keen, Berserker, Duckdom, Calyx, and then Duro. Okay, maybe in the top 15, average least amount of deaths. No, it's Kuz, Guma, Shiwu, Faker, Perfect, Hype, Closer. Okay, maybe top 20. And then you find Zeka at 18 and then Peanut at 20. And then if you scroll all the way down, Zeus is at 35. Like, again, there are 50 players in the league. He's at 35. He's in the bottom 50% of average deaths per game, which is just, you need the yin and the yang here to balance it out. And it is Viper. Viper is playing bullet hell. He's playing on hard mode and still getting it done, which is why, again, he is to me, I would go Chovy, owner, Viper. People say Zeus MVP, but Chovy owner, Viper, then maybe Zeus at MVP. Like, I just feel like
it's a hard discussion because I feel like Zeus has been playing so much in Italy, and it's funny because when you watch him play, you're like, okay, well, he can't team fight, so he doesn't look good in the team fights. You're like, okay, what's happening here? Like, he doesn't look great because he's playing AD in Italy, so he doesn't hurt people, and like he's not having impressive sides always because he keeps getting caught, for example, whether he's playing Italy or not, and like getting collapsed on. But that's in part due to the fact that his team isn't backing him up. But I look at Zeus' side lane pressure and how many times he almost just like wins the game or kills the inhibitor, or like the game they saved. I can't remember who it was against, where he like held the wave in mid for a really long time. I think it was maybe against BNK, like kept holding the wave in mid and like kept harassing the backline on this Nidali even though he couldn't hurt them, and just like basically stopped them from ending the game because he just has such a smart brain about stuff like this macro wise. I think he's an incredibly talented player, and I think that Nidalee is not a champion that suits all of his strengths, but like one of his main strengths of like really good silent pressure and like understanding of macro is there. And he knows when he can push the envelope super hard, and he has a great master of Nidalee to where if they come after him, he knows how to escape properly, knows the angles he needs to take, but his transformations, all that. But like, stop playing Nidalee though. Just play all your other good champions and team fight well and play standard League of Legends. I don't know why it's so funny to watch Zeus like just continue to play like for me like one of the most aggravating types of League of Legends, where he's just like, I win the early game, I harass you and annoy you, and then late game you can't catch me. Kitty go rare, bye bye turret. So he's like, get that guy. And Zeus is like, he's lumbering away. Catch that kitty. Yeah. Nope. It's like trying to catch a cat in real life, like the cat's just gonna jump and go up a tree.
Here's the Zeus stats to back you up on that too. Gold at 15, number 1 is Zeus, because he
I hope so.
outfarms you in the first 15 and then prevents you. His CS per minute is pretty low, but his goal to 15 pretty high, and then his CS at 15 only behind Canyon, who is in the jungle. It is not interactive. Canyon outfarms you and then impacts. Golly, it's Canyon then Croco at jungle. That's crazy. Anyways, so Zeus is playing the game. You are playing against Zeus. It's very interesting how that's working. I like that shout out. That was a good shout out to Viper. Make sure we tip the cap there. Let's do Preds.
Okay.
Prediction time. No. Okay. Week 7. Ooh. Who do you believe in more? These might take a little bit, actually, now. We start off with the banger, BNK Fearx versus Nongshim.
I think I'm gonna go Nongshim.
I think
I'm going Nongshim.
I think I'm ready to believe BNK Fearx. I just Diablo's the truth, man. And he's bringing Kellen along with him, and Jihu looks like a shell of a man.
There is there is a bit of an 80 carry gap. I will agree with you.
There is an 80 carry gap, and there is also a mid gap. Calyx is better than Vikla.
That's the other one. That's what I was going to
say. But Calyx was also better than Bulldog. True. And Calyx had his first real stinker. It wasn't a good series against DN Automotive Freaks. This is the first time since Calyx has come back where he's a little he struggled. So I'm in a series where he should win, where he's favorites, right? He's lost series against the teams that are better than him, but that was the first time where it's you should beat Bulldog, and he struggled to have the same level of impact that he's had in other series, that fearlessness that we've liked. I'm talking myself into BNK Fearx. Oh my gosh!
I think I'm gonna stick with Nongshim.
Listen to your.
I just think Gideon's better than Raptor, Calyx better than Vikla, Kingen better than Clear. The bottom lane, I'm Diablo might pop off and carry if Nongshim have another stinker series like they did against DNF, but I can't predict that yet.
That's fair. I understand that because they
Dplus DRX, by the way.
Another stinky one. This Wednesday to kick off the week. Kind of fun.
Am I casting on Wednesday? Oh man, I think I am. No,
enjoy
I'm safe. I'm desking. I'm desking.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's fun to cast these, but I don't know, man. So it's sometimes more fun to desk, especially if it's with Deed and he's molding. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go D+.
I think I'm gonna go D+. I'm sorry, DRX. I really like the Lazy Feel story. I like when seeing that team works because it's newer. We know what D+ look like when it works, but it's not working right now. It hasn't worked the last 6 games, and you already highlighted that. But when D+ are figuring out how it works, that to me is fun. Is it through Rich? Is Lazy Feel had pretty good team fights against Hanwha Life yesterday, as of this recording, but they were way too far behind. But give me D+. The skid ends here. KT Hanwha, yeah,
Hanwha, T1, bro, T1.
Oh shit!
Come on, dGon, just accept it. It's a bro telecom week. It's an O2 week for bro.
No, it's not an O2 week for bro, but it won't be against T1. Humbox on the bench, D+ BNK Fearx.
Man, what is with this week? Where it's all the teams.
It's a good week.
This one, I'm gonna have to go D+. Yeah, I think I have to go D+. D+ should bounce back this week, right? I'm not saying I believe in them.
I feel like this is such a bait. I feel like
it's kind of unlosable, right? Right. I did say earlier, ShowMaker is not worse than Vikla is not better than ShowMaker. You know,
This is true. This is true.
Uh,
They match up well against BNK for X, I think. It's just if Lucid gets tilted and does like these crazy engages because he's tilted. Yeah, give me D plus. Give me D plus. Give me D plus. Give me D plus. Damn.
Benji DNF. I'm gonna have to say I'm not voting for DNF here.
I think that's brave of you.
Call me crazy.
Genji. Let's go to Nongshim DRX. Yeah, I think this is the DRX fade week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nongshim.
All right, give me the bros here. Bros KT. This is the bros. We bounce back. Crazy Croco cuts down Cuz. Oh my gosh, that was so good.
I mean, KT had like such a big resurgence recently, and Hanwha, like if they even take a game off Hanwha, they're probably feeling pretty confident. I don't think they will take a game off Hanwha, but if they do, like they'll probably be feeling pretty confident. I feel like if you asked me about this 2.5 weeks ago, I would have been like, oh yeah, like I might go bro here. But right now, I'm kind of feeling like KT are pretty stable, which is why they probably will just like lose this one for no reason. But like I feel good about KT here. Actually, I'm gonna go KT.
Clip it. Clip that right there. Last 5 seconds. And then we close out. Hanwha Life, the DN Automotive Freaks. We'll both take Hanwha there. And then Genji T1. Do we dare? Do we dream? Genji's going to lose a game somewhere. And it's not to the DN Automotive Freaks next week.
I'm trying to think about like the overall schedule, Genji schedule. Nah.
Genji Hanwha is the first match of week 8. So Genji Hanwha, Genji DRX, Genji KT, and Genji Bro. If it's upset time, are you feeling it in the waters? Is that
No, I'm not. I'm gonna vote for Genji. I do think that it'll be interesting though. I think it'll be a good series. I think T1 are good. Unironically, I think T1 are really good right now.
Damn. All right. I'll be
It's okay to be boring and be right, you know.
I'll be boring and right. Okay. So to kick it off, BNK Fear X versus Nongshim. I went Fear X, Wolf went Nongshim. We both go D plus here. Then afterwards it was we both go Hanwha, we both go T1. Then after that, it's both go D plus, both go Genji. And then after that, we go on Saturday Showdown. We both go Nongshim, and then we split. I went with the bros. He goes with KT. And then we both go Hanwha, and we both go Genji. It may be different on the broadcast. Like, I'm really going to think about this D plus versus BNK for X1, but that's what we'll leave it for today. That was pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. We got through a week 6, man.
It's going to be a wild week.
That was a week 6.
This week is going to be wild. Like, this week is when, like, shit hits the fan. This is the week when, like, all the mid-pack teams play against each other, and you just can't know. Just can't know.
You just can't know. I mean, T1's going to be on a 5-game winning streak. Like, they're going to be in good form. I can't do it. All right, we'll keep it there. Y'all, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought. Where you think the MVP race is. Is it Zeus or Viper that is the higher MVP candidate for Hanwha Life Esports that will accept second place behind Chovy? And who you think is going to come out on top this week? What are the problems with D+? And what's the problems with the bros? We'll see you next time for more Monte Wolf.